humans go from being participants in the whole Earth to being a dominant feature.
The documentary Anthropocene shows the impact of humans on the planet. Anthropocene was one of 100 films showcased at the 27th Annual Environmental Film Festival in the nation's capital.
It is such a fundamental change in the way the Earth is behaving that we need to communicate that as powerfully as possible to everybody.
Similarly, Welcome to Sodom documents the world's largest electronic waste dump in Ghana. Hundreds of thousands of electronic equipment gets dismantled by children and adolescents in toxic smoke. In Sharkwater Extinction, the late filmmaker Rob Stewart shows how illegal fishing practices threaten the survival of sharks.
We're killing up to 150 million sharks a year. Sharks are now renamed and fed to us. Pet food, livestock feed, and even in cosmetics. We depend on other species for survival. Removing sharks is removing part of the framework that allows life to exist on land.
In Ground War, Canadian filmmaker Andrew Nisker raises questions about the health impact of chemicals used to maintain green, weed-free golf courses, lawns and playgrounds. Nisker told VOA how his documentary evolved as he was seeking answers on the causes of his father's cancer. His father was an avid golf player who died of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Glyphosate, Roundup is one of those brand names of the chemical.
He said so far, 2 plaintiffs with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma have won multi-million-dollar rulings against the manufacturer of weed killer Roundup.
People are waking up to the fact that what is being put on lawns and parks and gardens are not benign.
In The River and the Wall, filmmaker Ben Masters treks 1,200 miles by the Rio Grande along the U.S.-Mexico border to examine what impact a contiguous border wall would have on the environment and the local ranchers.
Is the border on the river, or is the border at the wall?
Without the water, we can't operate.
We need strong borders. We have to stop drugs and crime and criminals and human trafficking, and we have to stop all of those things that a strong wall will stop.
Masters told VOA a contiguous wall along the Rio Grande River, and especially in the lower Rio Grande Valley, would cut the water supply of many animal species trapped on the one side and would change the area's ecological makeup.
They're building it through some national wildlife refuges and a bunch of really important habitat in this area that's this major conduit of migratory flyways for songbirds, bats, and butterflies. So at a localized level, there's some pretty substantial habitat loss from the enforcement zone.
As the fire season nears, Alex Jablonski's documentary Wildland hits home, chronicling the grueling training of wildland firefighters and their bonding during the long hours of hauling equipment and hiking ridgelines to fight fires. Jablonski had to train and get a firefighter's license with the rest of the group in order to shoot the documentary.
You hear about the fires, but you don't necessarily hear about the firefighters until someone dies. And so I was really interested in the idea of like, well, what are these guys really like? And can we tell a story where if you hear about a fire on the news, if you see, wildfire footage, you actually stop for a moment and think about the people who are actually fighting them.
Penelope Poulou, VOA News, Washington.